Call this Altoona City Council meeting to order Monday, September 8th at 6 p.m. We'll now have a moment of silent prayer. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda, would you take the roll call, please?
Councilman Beatty.
Here.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Here.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Here.
Councilman Ickes.
Here.
Councilman Kelly.
Here.
Mayor Pacifico.
Here. Okay, we will go into public comment now. If anybody would like to address count. So, huh? Wait, hold on. Where? What?
Did you want to just proactively address the Garfield Park? So I know there's been some confusion on the vacation ordinance that was passed.
Sorry, not yet. Just 1 minute.
So what I wanted to do is show the clear lines of the park for Fairview and Garfield Park. I appreciate everybody's input and all the phone calls and the people that had stopped into City Hall to ask the appropriate questions about the park. So you can see on the engineer's drawing, it's a combination. We're just closing the vacant lot lines, combining the parks into one solid parcel. There is no intent to close those parks. And in fact, this is part of the bigger process to clean up our grant application. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll open the floor for public comment. If anybody would like to address council, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes. Floor is open.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me. My name is Bonita Sharif. I live at 1413 Ivyside Drive, Altoona, Pennsylvania. I came tonight to speak a conviction of my own heart. I mean no disrespect when I speak. I speak truly out of love and for what I truly believe in. I do have an issue when it comes to having police secure the LGBTQ Pride and Parade Festival by using taxpayer resources for such an event that I consider immoral and unconscionable. And what I mean by that is we have a sign in front of us that says, "In God we trust." I was a Sunday school teacher and I taught little children. It's already confusing enough for children to understand. I say let children be children. When we have adult content that comes out before our community, especially a rural area such as this, it's really hard on the children. Not only that, it's hard on adults. This is a gray area because it opens up more to the fact of like bathroom issues. People will start coming and thinking that, okay, now we're open up for negotiation for bathrooms that little boys and little girls can share, not just little boys and little girls, but adults sharing bathrooms. There was a Senate bill in Texas, Senate Bill 6, that was trying to allow people to, or grown adults, to think if they were a girl to go into a woman's bathroom, although they were a male. So why I'm bringing this all together is because it's all about morality. And having been a Sunday school teacher, it's hard for me to stand by and watch a rural area, a backbone of Pennsylvania, that has good morals. You know, I know some of you may have children in Catholic schools or in private Christian schools. You know, it affects them. It really does. I mean, it's really hard for a child to look at these things and they think they're getting a green light, but they don't need to be knowing this kind of stuff. And I don't think that we should be using taxpayer resources to secure such a thing. I know that in the past they had it at the campus. I say let them have it at the campus. I think that this should be, you know, off grounds for the public, and it should be put back at the campus. So I say this with respect. Look, I say this just like the Lord does. I love the sinner, not the sin. You know, we all are sinners. I'm a sinner. I've done things that are wrong. But, you know, I don't celebrate it. And that's all I'm trying to say. I think that we should take a look at this, because I also think that sometimes Pride Parade, it promotes sexual orientation, as we know, and sexual expression. And that's what it says. And we also know that certain forms of sexual expression constitute sexual harassment. Do we really want to open that door? I don't. And I hope you don't either. So thank you for the time. And also one last thing, because I have to say it from my heart. I really do. The word of the Lord says, if anyone causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for them to have a huge milestone hung around his neck and be drowned at the bottom of the sea. Jesus said that in his red letters in Matthew 18:6. And I have to say that because we in this country, in God we trust. Thank you, and God bless you.
If there's no other public comment, we will close the floor. Okay, floor is closed. We'll move into
I
the,
think they were.
okay.
Hello, my name is Tom Myers. I live in the city. I was just curious how come the gas company or contractors get to do one thing and the city of Altoona has to do something else. Like they were cutting a road up around where I live and they didn't wet cut it. I know the city of Altoona, when they use a saw, they wet cut. How come the contractors don't have to wet cut?
What's your address?
1115 27th Avenue.
Is that where the work's being done, sir?
Beg your pardon?
Is that where the work is being done on 27th Avenue?
Oh, yeah, and it's crappy. I mean, they broke more OSHA rules and regulations than I've ever seen. Because I used to do 811 calls. They're standing in a ditch, no shoring. They're bending over in a 3-foot deep ditch. I was just curious how come the gas company doesn't have to do the same things as the city has to do.
Did you write your information down in the back when you came in tonight?
Yeah.
We'll
I
look-
gave it to our director of public
Okay.
works.
Okay, we'll look into that and get back to you with an answer, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So you're a boat person too, huh?
What's that?
You're a boat person. Says Navy.
Yeah.
Okay, I was in the Navy, but mine was, never was on a boat in my life. I was in the Sea Bees.
Then it's your mess.
Huh?
Then it's your mess then.
Have a good one, thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment? All right, close the floor and move into our presentation, which is the 2026 minimum municipal obligation certification. Jim, turn it over to
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Mayor. Every year, the governing body is required to certify the minimum municipal obligation, otherwise known as the MMO, by September 30th. The MMO is a required annual contribution a municipality must make to its pension plans as determined by an actuarial evaluation conducted under Act 205. The MMO is calculated using actuarial assumptions and is used to ensure the financial health of pension plans by establishing a required funding level. Municipalities receive a MMO worksheet for their pension administrators to help them calculate the obligations, and a copy of that has been provided in your council agenda. Tonight, we're asking council to certify the police MMO for 2026 of $2,845,346. The non-uniform plan for $1,014,408. and the fire for $3,200,075. And I can answer any questions that you might have.
Anyone have any questions for Jim?
No, sir. I'm just curious, why is the police payroll higher than the fire, but the pension obligation is higher for fire than it is for police?
The police have, their salaries are salaries being paid to the police officers than the fire. There's a lot more police than there are firemen. And this currently is an estimate of the 2025 salaries. The way the plans are set up, one plan might have a better balance. So when you look at line item number 4, the amortization amount, that takes into consideration how much needs to be paid to make the plan
All right.
get what it needs to have.
Okay, I see it. Thank you.
And if I could recall, sometimes it impacts the fact that departments can sometimes be like have more experienced people that have been here longer, so that raises salaries, while other departments may be a little younger with more new folks coming in. And you'll see this over the years ebb and flow. Like one will be higher than the other for a while, and then it'll go back and forth. And I think that has something to do, like a lot to do with it too.
Correct. And also remember the fire have a drop program. So when a fireman enters the drop program, they are no longer eligible for state aid, and they also then do not get counted towards the MMO.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. All right, Linda, move on to the resolutions.
Is approving the minutes of the Altoona City Council meeting held Monday, August the 11th. Item B is approving the collective bargaining agreement between the city and Local 299 firefighters for the period from January 1, 2026 to December 31st, 2030, and authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item C is awarding the replacement of the steam boiler at Central Blair Rec's 6th Ward Building and rooftop cooling units at the Booker T. Washington Building to Clark Contractors in the amount of $180,978.06 payable from the Energy Efficient and Conservation Block Grant and the 2025 capital budget funds. Further authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item D is authorizing the vacation of existing easement between the PC3DG Altoona, that's the Dollar General, and the city of Altoona for the purpose of moving the current utility easement during development of the Dollar General located at 404 East 25th Avenue, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item E is authorizing a pedestrian access easement agreement between the Dollar General and the city for the purpose of installing sidewalks outside of the public right-of-way during development of the Dollar General at 404 East 25th Avenue, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item F is authorizing the city manager to execute documents in reference to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation's West Chestnut Avenue Bridge over Mill Run project, and for the city clerk to attest to same with 5% of the project funding, which is approximately $120,000 from the city's highway aid account. Item G is approving a payroll and human capital management services agreement between Paycom Payroll and the city in the amount of $57,551.06, and further authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item H is awarding a demolition bid for 309 14th Street to Lecky's Demolition Service of Johnstown in the amount of $16,500 payable from the City of Altoona Altogether Altoona Fund, and further authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item I is awarding a demolition bid for 2617 6th Avenue to G&R Excavating and Demolition of Tyrone in the amount of $12,210.40 payable from the City of Altoona Altogether Altoona Fund, and further authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item J is approving a repository bid in the amount of $808 submitted by Yamel Quintana of Long Beach, California for property located at 1508 to 10 13th Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. That's actually 1508 to 10, it's actually 13th Alley, not 13th Avenue. So it's right behind 13th Avenue. I'll have to make the change on the resolution. Are there any additions, anything that needs to be deleted or pulled for a separate vote?
I'd like to pull item J, please.
Okay.
I just have a question. What is G?
So when we did the OpenGov transition, BSNA currently does our payroll component. OpenGov does have a payroll component, but it doesn't have a human capital, human resource component. So if we elected to pay the money for OpenGov, we were still going to have to go out and find an HR solution for human resources. This combines both. So it's the $54,000 is for payroll and the human capital, and the payroll component in OpenGov would have been $30,000 additional. And this gives Christine, for the first time, an actual operating HR system. Everything's been paper files to date inside HR, and it's a very cumbersome process for Christine and the staff to manage.
But that won't be the case.
That won't be the case. It'll be a digitized solution.
Okay, I will first call for the consent vote excluding item J. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
Yes.
Councilman Ickes,
Yes.
Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico,
Yes.
and the consent vote passes 7-0. And then we have item J, which is approving a repository bid in the amount of $808 submitted by Yamel Quintana of Long Beach, California for property located at 1508 13th Alley, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty,
No.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
No.
Councilwoman Klinich,
No.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
No.
Councilman Ickes,
No.
Councilman Kelly,
No.
Mayor Pacifico,
No.
and the vote does not pass 0-7. Okay. Next, we have several ordinances. The first ordinance is for introduction. It's an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, Pennsylvania, which adopts certain portions of the 2021 edition of the International Fire Code and thereby amends Chapter 358 of the Altoona City Code, Fire Prevention. Is there a council member willing to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
This ordinance is introduced by Vice Mayor Ellis. Next, we have several for adoption. The first ordinance for adoption was introduced by Councilman Butterbaugh. And it's an ordinance of the City of Altoona amending Chapter 640 of the code entitled Subdivision of Land and Land Development to repeal the current text and replace it in its entirety, provide for severability of provisions, repeal inconsistent ordinances, reaffirming the code of the city as amended, and providing an effective date. Hang on one second. That's not right. Sure I have the right one. This is ordinance number, I have this all written out in advance, so I'm trying to be organized. Let's see, number two. Number two, okay. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, who was, I'm sorry, I didn't, there were several.
Councilman Ellis? Was that
You-
you?
you
Was that your
introduced
voice over there?
Okay. This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilman Butterbaugh and seconded by the mayor. I'll call the roll for a vote. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
Yes.
Councilman Ickes.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the vote passes 7-0. The next ordinance for adoption was introduced by Vice Mayor Ellis, and it is an ordinance of the City of Altoona amending Chapter 800 of the Code of the City of Altoona entitled Zoning to repeal the current text and replace it in its entirety, provide for severability of provisions, repeal inconsistent ordinances, reaffirming the Code of the City of Altoona as amended, and providing an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Vice Mayor Ellis and seconded by Mayor Pacifico. And I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty?
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Yes.
Councilman Ickes?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico?
Yes.
And the vote passes 7-0. The next ordinance was introduced by Councilman Butterbaugh, and it's an ordinance of the City of Altoona amending the code as follows. Amending Chapter 270 entitled Construction Standards by adding Article 4 thereof entitled Contractor Licensing to require the licensing of contractors working in the city. 2, amending Chapter 314 entitled Electricians to require licensing of electricians working in the city and set the requirements thereof. Amending Chapter 542 entitled Plumbers to require licensing of plumbers working in the city and set the requirements thereof. Number 4, provide for severability and repealer. And 5, establish an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
A second. Was that the vice? Oh, that was Councilman Ickes. Okay. This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilman Butterbaugh and seconded by Councilman Ickes, and I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty?
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Yes.
Councilman Ickes?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
No.
Mayor Pacifico?
Yes.
Vote passes 6-1. Ordinance number 5 was introduced by Councilman Ickes for adoption, and it's an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, Pennsylvania, which authorizes the vacation and abandonment of the alley behind 615 North 2nd Street between North 6th Avenue and North 7th Avenue pursuant to Chapter 295-8 of the City Code, and further authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute a quitclaim deed to Lori Sterling and any accompanying documentation to relinquish any right, title, and/or interest the city has or may have in said portion, provide severability of provisions, repealer, and provide an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
A second.
I'll second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilwoman Klinich and seconded by Councilman Beatty. I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty.
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Yes.
Councilman Ickes.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the vote passes 7-0. The next ordinance, number 6, was introduced by Councilwoman Klinich, and it's an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, Pennsylvania, which authorizes the vacation and abandonment of 2 separate lots of Fairview Park as depicted in the vacation plan by the Eads Group pursuant to Chapter 295-8 of the City Code, and further authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute any and all documentation to relinquish any right, title, and/or interest the city has or may have in said lots, provide severability of provisions, repealer, and provide an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilwoman Klinich, seconded by by Councilman Ickes. I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
Yes.
Councilman Ickes,
Yes.
Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
The vote passes 7-0. Ordinance number 7 was introduced by Councilman Beatty, and it's an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, which authorizes the vacation and abandonment of 6 separate lots of Garfield Park as depicted in the vacation plan by the Eads Group pursuant to Chapter 295-8 of the City Code, and further authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute any and all documentation to relinquish any right, title, and/or interest the city has or may have in said lots, provide severability of provisions, repealer, and provide an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Vice Mayor Ellis, seconded by Councilman Beatty, and I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty?
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Yes.
Councilman Ickes?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico?
Yes.
The vote passes 7-0. The next ordinance was introduced by Councilwoman Klinich, and is an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, Pennsylvania, which authorizes the vacation and abandonment of 25-foot portion of unopened Tyler Avenue between South 12th Street and South 13th Street pursuant to Chapter 295-8 of the City Code, and further authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute a quitclaim deed to Robert B. Deal and any accompanying documentation to relinquish any right, title, and/or interest the city has or may have in said unopened avenue, provide severability of provisions, repealer, and provide an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilwoman Klinich, seconded by Councilman Beatty. Call for the vote. Councilman Beatty.
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Yes.
Councilman Ickes.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the vote passes 7-0. Ordinance number 9 was introduced by Councilman Ickes, and it's an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, Pennsylvania, which authorizes the vacation and abandonment of a 7 1/2 foot portion of an unopened alley between South 12th Street and South 13th Street pursuant to Chapter 295-8 of the Altoona City Code, and further authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute a quitclaim deed to Robert B. Deal and any accompanying documentation to relinquish any right, title, and/or interest the city has or may have in said unopened alley, provide severability of provisions, repealer, and provide an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilman Beatty and seconded by Mayor Pacifico. Call for the vote. Councilman Beatty?
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Yes.
Councilman Ickes?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico?
Yes.
The vote passes 7-0. The 10th and final ordinance was introduced by Councilman Beatty. It's an ordinance of the City of Altoona incurring lease rental debt as defined in the Pennsylvania Local Government Unit Debt Act in a principal amount not to exceed $9,750,000, evidenced by its guarantee of 100% of the payments due under a debt obligation of the Altoona Water Authority issued to the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority in connection with the water system operated by the authority, and pay related expenses, authorizing a guarantee agreement by and among the city as guarantor, the Altoona Water Authority, and Penvest as lender, securing the debt obligation, pledging certain water system lease revenues of the city and the full faith credit and taxing power of the city in support of its guarantee, appointing a sinking fund depository in connection with such guarantee, and authorizing related actions and documents. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
You can give that to Ron.
Okay, thanks. There's a motion by Councilwoman Klinich, second by Councilman Beatty, and I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty?
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Yes.
Councilman Ickes?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico?
Yes.
The vote passes 7-0.
Okay, moving on to city manager updates.
Yes, sir. Just one thing quickly. I'd like to say thank you to Christina and Holly, and to, I see Pat Miller's here tonight. We just concluded the IFF contract, and I'd just like to thank everybody on both sides of the table for a very good faith negotiation. And I think that we reached a very fair settlement and contract moving forward. So thank you to everyone that was involved.
Okay. Council discussion items. Councilman Kelly.
Mayor, thank you, and I want to thank you personally for jumping in and helping out and patching me in tonight. I appreciate the help with the technology there, but I really have nothing to offer at this time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilman Ickes.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I have no additional comments this evening, and I also share in Chris's assessment and do want to thank the IFF for their negotiations, and congratulations to them and the city on completing their contract. Thank you.
Councilman Butterball.
Pretty much the same. Thanks to the staff. Thanks to the IAFF Local 299. Great to have this accomplished, and we're just blessed to have these great people working and keeping the city of Altoona safe. I would also like to thank our public works folks and all of those involved in the Garfield Park project. Was able to go up there and see that and walk the trails and look at the improvements there, and everybody did a really good job there. Unfortunately, the spring rains delayed it. I was hoping my dog would have survived long enough to walk that with me, but unfortunately he didn't. But you guys did a really good job, so thanks a lot.
Nothing, Mayor.
Okay. Councilman Beatty.
Just like to thank Chris and the city employees and the firefighters for working together and getting that settled. Thank you.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Questions from the media. Bill.
Thank you. Would somebody be able to give me details of the firefighter contract?
I can send you the details in the morning.
Can I have it tonight for tomorrow? Paper?
I don't have it with me.
Okay. Would anybody be able to who might have it here?
I don't believe anybody here has a copy of the contract. Plus, it's not signed till tomorrow, till I sign it and get it over to the IFF.
Okay. Would anybody care to comment on the contract from council?
I think it's people working together and getting cooperation. I think the city's made a fair offer, and I think the firefighters, agreed with that. And it's just good to see it goes very smoothly. And I think Chris did a great job, and Christina, and the staff working on that. And I think we've got a good team of people. So, thank you.
Can somebody say why it's a 5-year contract? I think the most recent slate of contracts were mostly 3 years.
This is something that during the negotiations we talked with the IFF about. There's real value in a long-term contract. The other thing that it does is allow us to stagger the contracts. There's 5 different labor contracts, so we can space these out. Unlike this year, where we're negotiating all 5 in the same year, puts a tremendous burden on city staff. So I appreciate that the IFF was willing to consider that and move that forward.
Is the plan to make other ones like 4 and then 3, or what?
Those are discussions that we have inside each one of those negotiations with the bargaining units. So
I mean, that would be one way to make it.
that is one
staggered,
way to
right?
do that.
Okay. Can you give me an update on the status of the other contracts? They all expire at the end of this year?
Yeah, so we're finishing up the last round of negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police on the 19th. Once that's completed, if we reach a contract agreement, that will be all the labor agreements will have been negotiated and signed this year.
Okay, so I had forgotten the non-uniform was a couple months ago, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Would anybody care to comment on Bonita Shrieve's assertions or comments?
No, I can understand why she feels the way she feels.
Anybody else? Jim, can you say what the percentage, regarding the MMO issue, what the percentage of funding for each of the pension plans is? Like how much, or how fully funded are they, I guess?
I don't have that information tonight. I could probably provide it to you tomorrow.
Okay, okay. And can you say how much of the pension costs are state funded?
We will not get our state funding notification until the end of September, so I don't have that information either.
Can you say like what the typical amount is, or percentage?
It varies depending upon what the state receives. It also varies based upon what the MMOs are. These MMOs are larger than last year's. So if we got the same amount, it might be 50%. I would have to guess at that until I would see what the state number is at the end of the month.
Well, the numbers you provided tonight that's all city money, right?
The money will be paid by the city less the state aid that we would receive.
Oh, the state aid would
Would reduce that amount.
Okay.
And we don't know what the state aid would be until.
And can you say what percentage of the city's, what the city is going to pay is collected, and I think it's called the Act 205 tax?
Again, that is figured out based on a certain formula. It's not all paid by the Act 205 money that's collected each year. A certain percentage is paid, and then the balance minus the state aid is paid from the general fund. I won't know those numbers until I get the state aid number.
Okay. And then regarding the licensing of tradesmen, this is a dumb question maybe, but I don't know it. Did the city require licensing of contractors prior to this, prior to tonight, I guess?
Yes, we've always had contractor licensing.
As a requirement?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, this is as a requirement of this new ordinance, but it's not a new requirement, basically, is what you're saying? Fair to say?
No, the contractors will continue to obtain contractors' licenses. The plumbers and electricians, instead of being separately licensed, will also obtain contractor's license now.
Oh, you mean they hadn't previously had to obtain?
They had their own licensing.
Right, right.
Mhm.
But they have to now do this new thing.
Correct.
New for them.
Yes.
Okay.
The status of master electrician and master plumber still remains though. So that does not go away.
So even though a person is a master plumber,
Yeah, so the consumer
have to
can
get a
still
contractor's license.
have that information.
okay. Would anybody on council care to comment on the passage of this after, I mean, it's kind of been, in a sense, years in the making, I guess, but.
It has been years in the making, hasn't it? And I just want to commend everybody that worked together. This too was a negotiation process.
Anybody else?
Bill, I think this is a huge step forward. We have a lot of interest to do development, rehabilitation in the city, build houses, and everything that we've seen here indicates that there's going to be a huge decrease in the cost of doing that. A huge increase, anywhere from 18 to 30%, we've heard figures of, in the cost of rehabilitation and construction.
You mean 18 to 30% per project, or 18 to
Yes.
30% for?
Yes, per project.
Oh. Per project as a whole?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And can you say where you got that information?
Well, Bill, those numbers come from developers and builders. And also, if you recall, when we were at a meeting in February, one of the electricians actually acknowledged that there was a significant difference between using a master and doing it without a master.
And the
Under the old system.
And the inspection process still remains, so it's not, this is not, what has been put out there in the past is that inspections were going away entirely. That's definitely not the case. So any work that a permit is pulled would still be subject to those, the regular inspections taking place up to and including final work.
And Bill, that's the inspection component of this is vital to make sure that their standards are maintained through this.
And they answer to the building code. That's the uniform building code. So if they miss 3 inspections in a year, then they have to test out. And I think the biggest thing is we're bringing parity to the county. Altoona has 1/3 of the population, but we had other plumbers from outside Altoona that couldn't come into the city and work without getting licensing some other way. So this is just evening the playing field so that, everybody can work in the city and, benefit from the population that's here. And it makes it fair for the tradesmen who want to improve properties and have the insurance and the workers' comp and all the different things that they need to do business in the city.
Is insurance and workers' comp part of the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay.
There were raised limits to how much insurance, it'll be more than what the general contractors had to have. So those limits were raised, so they'll have to have more than adequate insurance.
You mean if they conduct plumbing and electrical work or any,
Well, I think we raised them in general overall.
for any contractor now?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Bruce, if you're still on the line, can you say why you voted no?
Yeah, Bill, I hope you can hear me better than I can hear you.
I can hear you
I'll
fine.
try to give you a quick answer here. And I certainly respect and appreciate the efforts that the city and the council is trying to do. But I have 3, I have like 3 quick concerns that give me pause and made me want to vote no. And I worry about the safety and the quality of the work and whether that might be compromised. Because I also worry about our ability to get all the inspections done that we have to do. And when you consider the age of the housing stock in a city overwhelmingly built before 1940, and we have blocks and blocks and blocks of homes, 2.5-story wood frame homes that are 4 feet apart. I worry a little bit about that. I'm not sure, the impact this may have on revenues for the city. And finally, the last thing I had concern about is that the people that are really going to be impacted are the people who have been licensed and have, we've required them to do this, are city businesses. So, and this could potentially negatively impact those businesses in the city.
Thanks, Bruce. Would anybody care to comment on finally the adoption of the Saldo zoning ordinances?
Bill, I think this was just a way, we had so many different classifications and they were so broken up through the city that this is a way to get a clear definition from block to block. They changed and were intermingled, and I think this just cleans it up and makes developing in the city a little bit easier. And then also for the staff, you can look at a block of ground and have a better idea. If it's R1, it's R1. If it's highway use, it's going to usually be along a highway. So, those are just the cleanup of what the past code was. It was kind of a mix of good ideas and bad ideas. So I think this is something that it's going to help the city overall.
So you're talking primarily about the zoning
Yeah.
part, okay.
Yeah.
Bill, it'll also help us to get some new houses built in the city and some different types of housing that we haven't been able to have in the past before. And this is something that a lot of municipalities across the country are looking to update their zoning in Saldo as a way to increase housing supply. And we're kind of already ahead of the curve, just adopting it tonight.
Is what you said, or does what you say apply to both the Saldo and the zoning?
Zoning mostly, yeah.
So, okay. Okay. That's all I have.
Thanks. Meeting adjourned.